that multiracialism eventually will lead to mixing that obliterates all of the beautiful diversity that I believe in. Now, even if people are living separately to some degree, it means they can certainly appreciate all the other things around the world. You can appreciate everything that's wonderful about Japan without having a nation full of Japanese. We can have opera companies in this country without having large groups of Italians in every city. We can appreciate and respect differences. All I'm talking about is a way to ensure that those differences survive and prosper. Next question, please.
I have more.
Yeah, lot to unpack there with what you had to say. I'm not unpacking.
I beg your pardon?
Right. Do I need to speak louder?
No, you're doing fine.
So you started off our whole discussion talking about CMU's reaction to your arrival.
Yes.
I was confused at a point in which you said that they were terrified, and then the very next sentence said, of course, no one's actually terrified. So I am wondering, is CMU terrified or are they not terrified?
I was simply quoting the people who have written about my arrival. I must have listed 4 or 5 different people who say they feel threatened. They feel unsafe because I'm going to be here. What I'm saying to you is, I don't believe it for a moment. I don't believe anyone feels unsafe. Is there anyone in this room who feels threatened and unsafe because I'm here? Anyone? Do you?
Can I ask a follow-up question about CMU?
Sure.
So you also indicated that you've never seen an opposition like this. Is that true?
That is true.
Okay, so CMU has created one of the most powerful oppositions you've ever seen.
Well, certainly the most vocal. It seems like the whole campus has been mobilized to be terrified by my possible presence. Yes, I've never seen anything quite like that.
That is very interesting.
Yes, quite an accomplishment. Yeah, I think you in front. It's time for your next question.
Wonderful.
Give us a question.
I allow you. Let's test this again. There it is.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate you for allowing me to ask more than one question.
Of course.
So, first of all, I'd like to point out the fact that at multiple points throughout your speech, you pointed out that it's not getting better. This problem of racial diversity will persist forever and we just can't get along. And these liberal movements to usher in racial diversity are failing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's funny to point out the fact that you called the oppositional movement we see outside of this building with 500 people, something that you've seen for your first time. I think what that demonstrates is that we are changing, and the only people holding us back are individuals like you.
So you're saying that the people who answer those polls, they're all wrong? When the black people tell a pollster they think the racial problems will never be solved, are they wrong? Why is it that after 200 years, 400 years, we still have racial problems? The whole idea of the civil rights movement was that everybody was to be dismantling their sense of racial consciousness. We were all going to be Americans, hold hands, sing Kumbaya, and that would be it. That is clearly not the place. And those 500 people out there, you've counted them, they're 500, I hope there are. Why are they there? They are there because they are so disturbed that someone might take a different point of view that they don't know. Why are they not here? They don't even have to come to know that they disagree with me because they have paid no attention to me. Yes, behind you.
Well, I just
Yes,
thought I'd add
no.
on there.
Okay.
I just thought I'd add on there real quick.
No,
Ask me,
no.
why are these issues still persisting after 500 years? How long did people think the earth was flat? How long did we leave child marriage legal? Sometimes it does take time to overcome issues.
You're going to sit down, you're going to be respectful, or you're going to leave.
Of course, I will be the respectful one. Of course, we won't ask that
You're going to sit down and you're going to be quiet. That's your last point.
All right, just another follow-up question because I thought
Yes.
a little more. You said that CMU seems to indicate a sense of terror at your coming about not respecting your ideas, right?
Well, that's what the people who are on this campus, your student body president said it makes everyone feel unsafe. What kind of thing is that? How does that really work? What kind of consequence of my presence makes them unsafe? This is ridiculous. You have a question?
No.
Okay,
No,
in the back.
That answered the question.
Yes.
So I'd like to answer your question of why it makes people feel unsafe, if that's okay with you.
By all means, I'd like to know.
So like I mentioned earlier, I grew up in a mixed race household. I have an African American older sister. I have African American nieces. So with that being said, when there's somebody that has racist ideals, that believes in a racial hierarchy like you do,
I have said nothing about a hierarchy.
I've read some of your work, your written works.
And which is the race that's at the top of that hierarchy?
You've said Asian on your end.
So you do believe in a racial hierarchy?
But I would like to continue to answer your question. So I have personally seen how words become violence, how statements turn into violent action. Okay.
You've personally seen this.
I have personally witnessed this
Who was being violent to whom?
I'll tell you, my biological father against my African American sister. I was 8 years old when he put her against a wall by her throat, 3 feet up in the air, saying that she was an effing N-word and deserved to die.
Wait,
So
and this was caused.
ideology,
This was caused by words. Words caused this to happen. Look,
the belief that she was less than, because of the color of her skin, led to the violent attack. So that is why people feel unsafe having somebody who believes in anti-Black people, anti-Hispanic
I'm
people.
not anti these people at all. As I've said, I want each group to flourish and prosper and pursue their own destinies.
But separate than you, right?
That is the only way that they can be distinct. Now, people who want to mix it up, by all means, let them do so. I think that is just fine. I am in the business of voluntary, peaceful separation. Yes, in the red shirt.
What do you propose the solution is for our country?
The first thing would be for the government to get out of the business of constantly saying that we should come together despite the obvious preference people have to be separate. I think, once again, back to this example of churches. These are places where people can freely choose what they want to do. And if over the years there were local autonomy on these matters, if it were recognized that to wish to live in a racially and culturally coherent society is not by any means a morally inferior choice, it is a perfectly legitimate choice, then people could voluntarily separate and try to live in a way that suits their biological and cultural heritage. It would be a gradual step, perhaps leading eventually to even sufficient local autonomy so that we had a real form of federalism as we once did. But the first idea is to make it understood that there is absolutely nothing morally wrong with white people wishing to survive as a distinct people with a distinct culture, just like everyone else. And the only way that that can be done moving into the future is to have spaces where they are the permanent majority. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, if I'm understanding, then you're kind of advocating for resegregation, segregating according to race, blacks here, Hispanics here, whites here.
Strictly on a voluntary basis.
Oh, where are you going to go?
Where? Well, there's plenty of room. There's plenty of room in the United States. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, hold on. Wait a second. So, in other words, we're going to take the country, we're going to divide it up into maybe 3 or 4 parts. Some blacks will go here, some Hispanics may go here, some whites maybe go here. Does that mean that I have to leave Colorado?
No. There can be.
What if this is the Hispanic part?
There can be voluntary separation on a small scale. It does not have to be at that level of a state. And again, if you wish to live in a majority Hispanic part, that's fine with you. All I'm saying is the first step is to recognize that there is nothing wrong with people wishing to separate. Just the way if Koreans want to have a Korean church and they're more comfortable worshiping with fellow Koreans, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a psychological first step. Then the details will have to be worked out.
The details of where the devil is.
Well, it's either that or eventually everyone becomes the same. And I think that would be a catastrophe for the world.
Sir, I think we have, thank you very much. I think we have time for one more question.
Uh-oh.
I have a
Okay.
great question. Oh, darn it, because I could tell you what's wrong with you.
Hi.
Yes.
So we had someone back there talk about what solution might be.
Right.
Would you agree that America today is the most racially diverse it's ever been?
Today?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. It is increasingly racially diverse. Yes.
So with that in mind, what would the changes be? Like, what would be the benefit? Or no, sorry, not benefit. Excuse me. What would be the outcome with segregation today, with how racially diverse it is?
Well, the nation itself wouldn't be any more or less diverse, but people would be allowed to segregate and establish neighborhoods, establish communities where there was absolutely no opprobrium if Asians wanted to live among Asians, whites among whites, etc. Just to recognize that this is a natural preference built into us over the millennia to be tribal, and to leave off this idea of trying to build a society in which race can be essentially obliterated.
I have a last question.
I believe,
Why not isolate on eye color, hair color? Why only be tribalist on the color of your skin?
sure, because that's the basis on which prison gangs attack each other. Why not isolate on the basis
Oh,
of prison?
integration of other
No, no,
races.
no, no.
Tell me why undocumented migrants are 2 times less likely to commit violent crimes than you.
That is not true. I'm
It is
sorry.
true. PNAS did a research.
Wait.
And they've been tracking
Hey,
that
hey.
since the 18th century.
Look, no.
Time to go or no?
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
Are they?
only freedom of
So,
speech for them.
no. No. All right.
I'll take the fucking
Okay.
back.
Do we have another?
It'll be real calm.
Okay, another.
So you've been around for a minute.
I beg your pardon?
I said you've been around for a minute.
For a minute.
You're not a young man.
Oh,
My question is.
yes.
Why?
Why what?
It's gender.
What?
We're talking about the color of skin.
We're talking about a lot more than that.
We're talking, I heard history lesson. I heard you state a point early, and you kind of said it at the end. You gave us a history lesson for about 45 minutes. My question is, why did you dedicate? You're highly educated, you've traveled, you've seen things.
So why do I care?
Spend your life.
Why do I care?
Why race?
Because I care about the survival of my people. The white race, European people, are my extended family.
Thank you.
And I'm very sorry if that offends you. But family is what matters most. My idea about race, Lily, is the way I feel about my own children. I love my children more than I love anyone else's children. Not because they're necessarily better, but because they're mine. I can be very fond of other people's children, but mine come first. And the white race, which I believe has achieved great things, is my biological family. And this does not mean I have to be hostile in the slightest to other families, but I want my family to survive and prosper forever. That's the answer to your question.
I want to thank Mr. Taylor for coming, and
For
thank
what?
you all for your
Seriously, for
comments and
what? Thank you
questions.
for what?
Thank
Be honest. Stop. Thank you for what?
I beg your pardon?
you. Ready to go? Okay.